What's up, Tanner J-Man Show Nation? This is Tanner Lee, one half of the Tanner J-Man Show, and on behalf of myself and my co-host Josh the J-Man Munt, we appreciate you listening to our podcast. If you're a new listener to our podcast, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts at. If that happens to be on Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating and review, as that helps us out a bunch. Watch our podcast live every Monday night from 6:30 to 7:30 Eastern Standard Time on the ISC Sports Network. And make sure to give us a like on Facebook and a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Tan and J-Man Show. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy some hot takes, topics, picks, and more on a brand new episode of the Tan and J-Man Show. Hey, it's Monday night, April 18th, 2022. Episode 283 of the Tan and J-Man Show coming at you. I'm Tanner Lee, along with my co-host Josh the J-Man Mutt is across the computer screen from me in the state of Illinois. J-Man, how's it going? Did you have a good Easter?
Had a good Easter and then woke up this morning to snow on my car.
Yes, sir.
So,
snow
on April
here too.
18th. That was fun. And then, I was looking at the forecast, supposed to be 76 degrees on Saturday.
Yep.
So, welcome to the Midwest.
The Midwest, yes.
Yeah.
At least you're on Central Time.
That's right. That's right. I have really enjoyed Central Time, especially with sports.
I got to thinking, I got a good amount of candy for Easter this year. So I've been eating a lot of candy the last 2 days. Do you prefer Halloween candy or Easter candy?
That's a really good one. Man. I guess at Halloween you can have like any sort of candy. There's not like a set kind of candy, where Easter, I love the Reese's peanut butter cup eggs.
Oh, I ate 6 of them on Saturday alone.
I think I had 6 after work today. Big fan of the Jolly Rancher and Starburst
jelly beans.
Jelly beans.
Yeah, those. Yep. Yeah, I can't do a regular jelly bean very well.
No, me either.
Give me the specialty ones.
I love Starburst. Love the Jolly Rancher jelly beans. I probably venture to say stay Easter.
I think so too, because I seem to get more candy at Easter.
Yeah. I never really did any. I don't think I trick or treated once in my entire life.
What, really?
Yeah.
That's surprising. What's your go-to candy? Are you more of a chocolate sweets guy, or are you like the sour stuff?
I used to be like Skittles, Starburst, sour Skittles, all that, but I've kind of ventured into the chocolate peanut butter land, and my favorite is Butterfinger.
That's hard to go get Butterfinger.
Yeah. Anything peanut butter chocolate.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I like peanut butter and chocolate. I still prefer like Sour Patch Kids. I'm still more of a sour guy, but even though they're sour than sweet. But I got a bag of all sorts of different chocolates. It has like Three Musketeers, Milky Way Midnight, I believe it's called, like dark chocolate, Snickers, and did I say Three Musketeers already?
Yes. You can't go wrong with that either.
So Twix. Twix is the other one.
Oh, I love
so they're
Twix.
all the mini size. So I ate one of each today after work, and I'm like, I'm going to decide which one's the best. I couldn't decide. I like them all.
I can decide for you. Give me Twix all day long.
And Twix pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with Twix.
I think Milky Way was my least favorite because it was had almost too much caramel in it. And I like caramel, but it was like sticking to my teeth a lot.
I don't like dark chocolate, so the Milky Way Midnight doesn't do it for me.
Dark chocolate's growing on me. The older I get, I'm kind of starting to like it.
Yeah, you're an old man now. You're 30.
I feel like an old man. So, all right.
Knees are popping every day.
Snap, crackle. It's like a Rice Krispie treat. Snap, crackle, pop when I get up. Like when I get up here in an hour from this chair, my knees and back are going to be snapping and popping and cracking and all sorts of stuff. But that's a lot of candy talk. But let's get into talking some sports.
I got some birdie bogey for you here.
We're all tied up at 3 over par.
3 over par. Not very good scores again.
No.
On Sunday, Chris Paul became the 5th player with 10 career playoff games of 30 points, 10 assists. Of 30 points and 10 assists. Who are the other 4 players to do this?
I'm surprised there's 4 others to do that.
Yeah. I'm going to say you have to get, 2 for par.
All right.
4 for a birdie.
All right, and then 3 gets par as well. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Birdie
right.
Bogey brought to you by Noble Gnome LLC for fresh, locally grown, nutrient-dense produce from Bryce and Katie Romine of Mentone, Indiana. Like them on Facebook, follow them on Instagram, and check out their website, noblegnomellc.com. Get your veggies.
Yes, it's definitely approaching veggie season. Well, like we said, you wouldn't know it right now today in the Midwest with snow on the ground, but by this weekend when it's 78, 80-ish degrees.
I am looking out my my upstairs studio window right now, and it is spitting snow. It is spitting snow on April 18th. That is
nasty.
That is pathetic. It's going to be a nasty night at Wrigley tonight, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, they're having the game tonight still?
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, yeah. It's not supposed to rain. They can play through snow, I guess, and cold, but
it's just miserable for our fans.
Yeah. I saw you can get in for as low as $10, which rarely happens at Wrigley Field.
That's true.
I'd rather watch at home. If it's going to be this cold, no thank you.
I went to a Cub Rocky game in April. I believe it was April. I don't think it was May. I'm pretty sure it was April of 2011. And it was kind of weather like this today, and it was absolutely miserable.
I remember you went to that. I went to a game in 2019 where it was about 60 degrees. It was a Saturday, like early, about this time. Yeah, about 60 degrees the day we went. And then driving home Sunday morning, 8 inches of snow. And I got snowed out.
I don't remember a lot about the game I went to other than Starlin Castro had 3 errors that game.
Darwin Barney, I remember, hit his first.
He did, yes, that's right. He hit into the basket.
I don't know why I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, the starting pitcher for the Cubs.
Somebody terrible. That 2011 team was the most forgettable.
He was a Brewer. He was Hispanic player.
Was it Matt Garza?
Yep, Garza. Yep.
Was it?
Yep.
Who pitched for the Rockies? You remember that?
No.
It was a long time ago.
It was over a decade ago.
That was 11 years ago. Man, we are getting old.
Yes, we are. But let's just stick with baseball, shall we?
Sounds good. That's about all that happened this week, it felt like.
Well, the Cubs-Rockies played against each other this weekend, so
yes, they did.
I would lead into that.
What? I got my book it right, too. The Cubs would split this week against the Pirates and Rockies. Anytime you can go to Coors Field and get a series split, you're thrilled. Over the moon. They're pitching really well. Offense has been fantastic. They're leading baseball in OPS right now. The Cubs are. They hit, I think, 18 doubles in Coors Field over the weekend. That's the most they've ever had. The problem with a more contact-oriented offense like the Cubs have is, sure, it's great. They're not striking out. They're getting a ton of guys on base, but they've hit into 13 double plays so far.
Yeah, that's not a good stat.
Which is by far the most in baseball. But you know what? Keep getting guys on base, and you're going to score runs. As I said, they're leading baseball in on base plus slugging percentage. Really liking the offensive approach so far. I mean, you add a guy like Nick Madrigal who never strikes out. Seiya Suzuki has been arguably the MVP of the National League right now, which is crazy to even think about. He's hit 4 homers already. He's walked more than he struck out. He's hitting over 400. He's reached base safely in 9 straight games to start his Major League Baseball career, and he has a hit in all 8 games with an official at bat. I'm
hearing a new J-Man man crush on the Cubs here.
New J-Man man crush, and they asked him, what's the change between Japan and Major League Baseball as far as the data you can get on Major League pitchers? And he's like, I haven't even looked at the data on Major League pitchers. I'm just kind of going out there and trying to make my own adjustments right now, which is smart. You don't want to overload yourself with data and then you overthink things.
Right.
Okay, he's going to throw me this in this situation, that in that situation. He's just going out there and making his own adjustments. Doesn't swing at balls off the plate, which is something the Cubs have not done very well over the past 5 or 6 years. He has 40 swings so far this year. 4 of them have been homers, 2 of them have been doubles, and 4 of them have been singles. It's the best ratio of total bases to swings in all of Major League Baseball. Never even thought about a stat like that before. How many swings does a guy have, and how many of those swings actually are productive. But he's been awfully dang good. Cubs are leading Major League Baseball with a 281 batting average. They're also leading Major League Baseball with a 364 on base percentage. As I said, they had 18 doubles in the 4-game series, which is most doubles for the Cubs in a single series since 1931. Now, the issue is you win games by hitting the long ball, and the Cubs are not hitting homers. So I think it'll ultimately catch up with them. But as of right now, with how their offense is being able to get guys on base, especially when it's super cold out like it is tonight, just being able to manufacture runs, that'll be huge because for years when they had it's either a strikeout, walk, or homer kind of offense, when it's 40 degrees out and the wind's blowing in, you're going to have to scratch and claw to try to get 1 or 2 runs. And when you're relying on the long ball, it's going to be tough to hit them out. So just keep getting guys on base. They've really grinded plate appearances too. They've knocked starters out pretty dang early in games. And as I said, they're pitching pretty well. Kyle Hendricks had a rough start on Wednesday in Pittsburgh. But Drew Smiley, who they signed just a few weeks ago, a few weeks into spring training, actually, he was pretty good I think he was with Atlanta last year. But he is one of 5 pitchers one of 5 starting pitchers, I should say, that has not given up a run yet. Which obviously that won't continue, but he's been great. Marcus Stroman had a rough outing in Colorado, but that happens. The altitude can get to you. I mean, it's a lot easier to hit there, but it's also that altitude, man. I've had high altitude sickness before, and it is rough. You got to drink a lot of water. And I remember now I walk up flights of stairs and I get winded really easily anyway. But in that high altitude, it's exacerbated, and he just kind of ran out of gas. So I think Stroman will be okay. The Stro show. Bullpen's been fantastic so far. They're playing really dang good baseball, and they're on a 90-win pace right now.
Yeah, you got to be pretty happy. I mean, I can hear it in their voice. I can see it in their tweets. Pretty positive, happy J-Man so far.
I'm cautiously optimistic is what I'll say. I don't know if it'll continue. It's a long season. They still have 153 games left, and their schedule gets pretty tough this week, facing the Rays for 3 tonight. So with that great pitching staff, we'll see how good the Cubs offense actually is.
At least you get the Rays outside in cold weather.
Yeah, which that'll hopefully help, especially being in the cold weather, as you said, and they're not a great offensive ball club anyway. So I'm expecting some low-scoring games here because it's going to be pretty cold all week, it sounds like. Another Seiya Suzuki stat, when he puts the ball in play, no player in baseball has made better contact than Seiya Suzuki. He is averaging 1 barrel per 17 pitches faced, which is insane. Which is just ridiculous because it's so tough to barrel up anything. Now, the league will make adjustments, and he'll have to find a way to make those adjustments as well. But, I mean, we've already seen it. Spring training, he had to make adjustments. He struggled his first probably 10 plate appearances, struggled with velocity, struggled with breaking balls, and I'm sure he's a little nervous and all that after signing the $85 million contract. But he's made adjustment after adjustment so far, and the returns have never been better for Seiya Suzuki.
And I'm pretty sure. I think it's safe to say that he's going to be probably the top merch seller among Cub players this year.
I would think so. Him and Stroman. I'm sure Stroman sold a bunch, but honestly, it's tough for starting pitchers to really be able to sell as much as position players. Right. You only see him once every 5 days or so.
Right.
But yeah, Suzuki so far fan favorite. Seems like a really good guy too, and teammates love him. It sounds like, and he's producing now. When he goes through a little cold stretch, we'll see how the fans react to that. But as of right now, things are going pretty dang well.
I suppose Wilson Contreras will still move some merch too, just because he's
still
a popular guy from the 16 run.
He's him and Hayward are the last.
I keep forgetting
stand, essentially. Him and I guess Hendricks is there too, but he's a starter. Hayward. He's actually producing so far. We'll see how long that lasts. I can't imagine it'll last much longer than this month. But one of the guys they needed to start hitting, and he definitely did now, is in Colorado. So take it with a grain of salt. But that was Patrick Wisdom, he was 1 for 16 to start the season with 0 extra base hits, and he ended up hitting like 6 doubles or something in Colorado and looked much better at the plate, because they definitely need him, because he's really good defensively at third. And it was to the point where I'm like, man, we're only 6 games in, but I kind of want him designated for assignment already. He was so bad. But luckily he started hitting. Same with Frank Schwindel. But again, in Colorado. So we'll see if those hot streaks are actually real.
Who else do they have this week besides Tampa?
They have Pittsburgh for 4 in Wrigley. So yeah, so that'll hopefully be good. And Pittsburgh's actually playing some halfway decent baseball, which is kind of annoying. I think they're hovering around 500, which is pretty good for them. Yeah, they're 5-4. Cardinals are 5-3. Cubs are 5-4. Pirates 5-4. Brewers 5-5. And the Cincinnati Reds are 2-8.
I was gonna say there's definitely a team in NL Central that's not even close to 500 right now. So.
Yeah, after I saw this, so the Reds president and COO Phil Castellini asked fans, "Where are you gonna go on opening day?" Because of all these fans that want them to sell the team, where are you gonna go? Well, since then, the Reds have lost 6 straight games by a combined score of 43-15. They haven't had a lead in any of those 6 games, and they have the worst record in baseball at 2-8. We thought the Reds would be pretty bad anyway because they sold their entire roster, but they are just atrocious so far. Now, they did have to face the Atlanta Braves and the LA Dodgers, but still not a great start. Although they do have something to look forward to with Hunter Green coming up. He their top prospect. He was sitting like 101, 102 when I watched him on Saturday night. He threw 40 pitches over 101 mile an hour, I think. And I saw a stat that the Arizona Diamondbacks have only thrown 4 pitches over 100 miles an hour since 2011.
Oh, wow.
Only 4 of them.
And at one time back in the late 90s, early 2000s, they probably threw more than anybody else in the league because of Randy Johnson.
Absolutely. Randy Johnson. Yeah. I was just thinking, though, you take Aroldis Chapman off that Cubs team, and they probably don't have one pitch thrown 100 mile an hour since.
Yeah.
I've been watching. It's because they just don't have much velocity. But, Hunter Green is going to be fun to watch. They also have Nick Lodolo, I think is how you pronounce his name, who is their other top pitching prospect. He's up in the bigs now. So
that's what guys. The Reds always seem to have a guy or two every couple of years that can really hum the ball.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Yeah, it's weird. Going from they had all this Chapman. They never did try Chapman as a starter, which I kind of wish they would have tried him just to see if they could get anything out of him. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad they're letting which Hunter Green was a starter coming up anyways, but. Not too many starters are throwing 101, 102 mile an hour, so we'll see how long that'll be able to last. He could be a lights-out closer if he has to go to the bullpen. But, I mean, you look at the St. Louis Cardinals, Jordan Hicks is a pitcher who was throwing 105 miles an hour. He was back into the bullpen the past couple years. He got injured, but they've had him in the rotation this year. I haven't really seen what he's been doing, but guys who are throwing hard like that are starting to move to the rotation, which is obviously pretty fun to watch, being able to throw 60 pitches over 100 miles an hour. But yeah, I don't know how long Hunter Green, our good friend Andrew Eiler, would be able to fill us in better. Actually, I guess Jordan Hicks has been coming out of the bullpen. They tried him as a starter though, but yeah.
Yeah, going back to the Reds president's comment, owner's comment, I don't remember what he said his exact title is. It's never a good thing when they respond to criticism like that. Sometimes it's better just to kind of divert into something else or just no comment. Not a good look.
That's just going to make the fans more mad. And when he was given his interview, he's in this all red suit with like aviator shades on. He just looks like a villain almost in a movie. And I'm sure he's the Reds villain now. He's kind of public enemy number 1 there in Cincinnati.
Well, now Cincinnati's not used to having, a real successful team or coming off a good season. And now they got the Bengals, who darn near won the Super Bowl. So you went from the highest of highs, NFL, and now you're the lowest of lows right now in MLB, so it's probably kind of hard to swallow.
Yeah, it's and that's such a good baseball town too. I mean, they had so much success up until like 95 or something like that.
But
They haven't
since
done
then, they
anything
just haven't
since.
done anything. And
Haven't
it
done
just
any.
looks like,
They haven't.
when's it going
Yeah,
to turn around?
yeah. They haven't won a playoff series
Oh,
since. I mean, they got up 2-0 against the Giants in 2000. I think that was 12, and ended up losing all three to end the series, giving up a grand slam to Buster Posey. There, I'll never forget that.
this is probably not fair, and I'm probably going to get ridiculed for making this comparison because they're not quite this bad. But in our lifetime, I would almost say they're equivalent to the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, they've
Lions have made the playoffs a couple times in our lifetime.
Couple times.
Never won a playoff game.
Reds had a decent stretch. 2010 they made it. 2012 and 13 they made it, and then of course they made it 2020, but that was only due to COVID rules. So yeah, they've only been a handful of times, never won a playoff series. That's probably a good comparison
in our lifetime, because granted,
yeah,
in the 80s, I mean, before that, the Reds
70s,
had more success than the Lions
with the big red machine, and then they won a World Series in 1990 as well. But yes, in our lifetimes, they're pretty comparable. To the Detroit Lions.
I mean, we could have definitely compared them to the Bengals until this past season.
I'd almost compare the Reds to the Dolphins a little bit. Had some success in the 90s. Dolphins had more success in the 90s, but since 2000, I mean, they haven't done anything.
That's true.
And they're a team that was super successful in the 70s.
True.
Had good years in the 80s as well.
True.
And haven't done anything since. Now they're trending in a much better direction than the Reds are, thankfully. But Reds. I don't know how it's going to turn around. They won the off season in a sense in 2020, signing or 2019. When was that? Yeah, going into the 2020 season, signing Nick Castellanos. They signed Mike Moustakas. They had this great pitching staff with Sonny Gray and Trevor Bauer and Luis Castillo, and they just weren't that good. And then last year, they kind of hurt themselves. I even remember saying it last year towards the trade deadline. They got hot to the point where they were looking like clear sellers at the All-Star break. And then they had this really good stretch heading into the trade deadline where they actually bought at the deadline trade for a couple relievers. And looking back, they had to make that decision. Okay, we want to try to continue this hot streak and maybe we can get into the playoffs. But a smart general manager would have been like, I just don't see it. Yep. And they could have gotten a ton for Nick Castellanos, and they ended up getting nothing for him because he signed. They let him become a free agent, but he would have. They would have acquired a ton for him for 2 months worth of Nick Castellanos. They could have gotten a ton for Sonny Gray last year. Couldn't have gotten a ton for Luis Castillo. Even a guy like Wade Miley, they could have gotten something for. And they had a couple bullpen guys that could have they could have acquired something. But they kind of stood pat. They traded for a few relievers and didn't get anything for any of these guys, really. I know they traded Sonny Gray in the offseason, but they would have gotten a lot more at the trade deadline last year. So they kind of hurt themselves by having that extremely hot stretch right before the trade deadline.
I got a few more MLB topics for you, but do you have anything off the top of your head you want to talk about around baseball?
I have a few stats here from Jeremy Frank at MLB Random Stats, who's actually a Purdue student right now. There were just 15 homers hit across 14 Major League Baseball games yesterday.
Wow.
That's the fewest of any day with at least 14 games since September of 2014, and the fewest in an April day with at least that many games since 1993. 47% of the home runs hit yesterday came from designated hitters, 7 of the 15. That's the highest percentage of homers hit by a single position in a day of at least 14 games played since July 18, 1990, where first baseman accounted for 48%.
We'll probably see that more and more since pitchers aren't hitting anymore.
Pitchers aren't. Yeah, exactly. Across 14 MLB games today, there were 19 stolen bases and 15 homers. It's the first day of double-digit games since 2018 to feature more stolen bases than homers. So I don't know if old Rob Manfred messed with the ball again and it's harder to hit homers, or I know pitching's really good, but I don't know. The ball's obviously not juiced anymore.
Yeah. That's interesting. Some crazy stats there. So what'd you say this guy's name was?
Jeremy Frank. He's a Purdue student right now.
Yeah, maybe we should try to get him on the pod sometime. He is pretty interesting.
That would be really cool. He is super famous now, though.
Okay.
So he's a Purdue Data Science 2023.
Well,
so
I'll try to pull my Purdue connection, see what
there
I
you
can
go.
do. All right, J-Man, I'm going to quiz your baseball knowledge.
All right,
I want to see if you can name all the MLB managers.
Okay.
Because I can't. I'm not even close. So I'll go in alphabetical order. So starting in the National League with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Arizona Diamondbacks. Is Torey Lovullo still there?
You are correct. Yes, he's been there since 2016.
Surprised he's still there because they've been terrible.
Chip Hale before that.
Yeah.
Atlanta Braves.
Brian Snitker.
Yep, been there since May of 2016. Chicago Cubs.
David Ross.
Yes, been there since October 2019. Cincinnati Reds.
David Bell.
Been there since October 2018, not to get confused from the Purdue All-American wide receiver, David Bell. Colorado Rockies.
Bud Black.
Yeah, he's been there since November 2016. I didn't realize it's been that long already. LA Dodgers.
Dave Roberts.
Yes, been there since November 2015. Miami Marlins.
Don Mattingly.
Yes, Donnie Baseball. He's been there since November 2015. Milwaukee Brewers.
Craig Counsell.
He's been there since May 2015. New York Mets.
Buck Showalter.
Yes, he's the one of the newer managers in the NL. He's only been in New York since December of 2021. Philadelphia Phillies.
Joe Girardi.
He's been there since October 2019. Pittsburgh Pirates.
Craig Shelton.
Got the last name right, so I'll count it, but Derek Shelton.
Derek Shelton.
Been there since November 2019. San Diego Padres.
Bob Melvin.
Yes, new manager in NL. He's only been there since November 2021. San Francisco Giants.
Gabe Kapler.
Yep, been there since November 2019. St. Louis Cardinals.
His last name is Marmol.
Yes, Oliver Marmol.
Oliver
been there since
Marmol.
October 2021. And Washington Nationals.
Is Dave Roberts still there? Or no, not Dave Roberts. Dave Martinez.
Yes, November 2017.
The American League I'm going to do terrible at.
Getting there. Let's start off with the Baltimore Orioles.
Brandon Hyde.
Yes, December 2018.
The only reason why I know that is he was the Cubs' first base coach in 2016.
I'm impressed. That was really quick. No hesitation on that one. Boston Red Sox.
Alex Cora.
Yep, since November 2020. Chicago White Sox.
Tony La Russa.
Since October 2020. Cleveland Guardians.
Is it still Terry Francona?
Yes, since October 2012.
He's got to be the longest.
He's the longest tenured in the league. Yeah. I honestly didn't know he's been there a decade. Detroit Tigers.
Detroit Tigers. I know who it is, but I can't remember. Who is it?
AJ Hinch.
Oh, that's right.
Been there since October 2020.
That's right.
Houston Astros.
Dusty Baker.
Since January 2020. Kansas City Royals.
Mike Matheny.
Yes, since October 2019. LA Angels.
Joe Madden.
Since October 2019. Minnesota Twins.
Rocco Baldelli.
Since October 2018. New York Yankees.
Aaron Boone.
Since December 2017. Oakland A's.
I have no idea. Bob Melvin went from there to San Diego. I don't know who they hired.
Matt Kotze.
Oh, really?
Yes, since December 2021.
He's a pretty good player.
Seattle Mariners.
Is Scott Service still?
Yes, since October 2015. Any other franchise, he'd probably be canned because they haven't made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Rays.
Kevin Cash.
Since December 2014. He's been there a while. Done a really good job. Texas Rangers.
Is Chris Woodward still there?
Yep, since November 2018. And lastly, the Toronto Blue Jays.
I don't know why I can't think of the Blue Jays manager.
Charlie Montoyo. Since October 2018.
I should have known that. I think he came from the Indians.
You did pretty good. You
only missed better than I thought. I thought I was going to really struggle with the American League.
Yeah, and you only missed 2. So, one more baseball-related thing, and my dad gave me this idea right about an hour before the show. Excluding Chris Bryant's final out of the 2016 World Series, what is the best baseball play of your lifetime?
Of my
You can have a personal favorite, and you can also have just one you saw on TV or highlights, and it just sticks in your head all the time.
One that comes into mind is it was an April game against the Washington Nationals, and Reed Johnson made the best diving catch I think I've ever seen. I don't know if that's because it was my formative years and I remember it so vividly, but that was one that stood out. And then I think that same exact year, or maybe the next year, he robbed Prince Fielder of a game-tying grand slam in Milwaukee, which was pretty cool. I,
of course, think of Derek Jeter back in, I think it was 2003, flying into the stands, but that was more just the theatrics of it, coming up bloody and everything. I mean, it wasn't that great of a catch. It was just he couldn't stop his momentum.
His little flip to Jorge Posada to get Jeremy Giambi at the plate
against the A's,
in the playoffs against Oakland.
The 2000, I believe. ALDS.
That's
a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's pretty memorable play. It's one of the best plays a shortstop's ever made.
Jim Edmonds had a lot of crazy over the shoulder catches, but I remember one out in Houston when they used to have that little incline, and maybe they still do.
Towels Hill. No, they got rid of that.
He made one back there that was stupid good.
Yeah. The thing about Edmonds that made me mad was he played so shallow.
Yes.
And then he jogged and then sprint at the last second so he could make this insanely good catch.
He wanted the Web Gym nominees.
That's right. Back when I don't even know if Baseball Tonight is still a thing. I used to love Baseball.
I don't think it is.
Web Gyms. But yeah, he liked the theatrics.
Yeah, he would kind of like a baseball version of cherry pick a little bit, and then he'd hustle make it. But Torrey Hunter had a lot of good ones, a lot of good.
Yeah, he had homers. He's robbed. Good ones. Omar Vizquel was a great defensive shortstop. Same with Andrelton Simmons as well. Any play Javi made, he just made it look super cool. Javi Baez, him stealing home against the Mets and the Tigers, like back-to-back series back in 2018. There's a lot that I could go through here. Obviously, Chris Bryant play. Well, Dexter Fowler's leadoff homer in Game 7 of the World Series kind of sticks out too.
A lot of good ones. A lot of good ones to pick from. I'm sure we missed a lot, and if we did, just fill them in on the comments if you're watching on Facebook.
So, that's right.
Want to talk a little NBA? Something we don't talk about too often, but that's probably the question I get asked the most from people who listen. When are you going to talk about the NBA? When are you going to talk about the NBA?
It's so tough when we have
time to talk about the NBA.
Yeah. It's so tough when we have college basketball because that's our passion.
Right.
That it fills up the entire show. And it's tough. It's tough to get some NBA in there.
Yeah.
Playoffs are always fun though.
Yeah. There's been some interesting results already. I didn't see Minnesota going into Memphis and getting game 1.
Right. And they beat them pretty handily too.
Yeah. That was kind of a surprise. Of course, the game of the weekend might have been Boston and Brooklyn. The Celtics edged out the Nets by 1 point.
Absolutely.
But Kyrie Irving was definitely in the headlines.
Yeah, Kyrie had a fantastic game, and then superstar Jason Tatum with just a ridiculous finish as time expired to win that thing. That was pretty impressive.
And Kyrie, interesting post-game press conference about remarks towards Boston fans and going at it with Boston fans during the game, matching their energy. So He said some interesting things. I think he'll probably get a fine handed to him by the NBA. But
he
colorful
hates
language.
Boston.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell he hates Boston.
Bulls hung in there, but lost a tough one to the Bucks.
They had every opportunity to win that thing, and they just could not hit a shot. DeMar DeRozan shot 7 of 26, I believe, or 5 of 26. Nikola Vucevic missed a layup that would have, I think, tied the game fairly late. You know what they should have done? They should have played Io more. He doesn't. He doesn't lose games unless they play Loyola. But no, he. Io didn't play much last night. That's really the only reason why I've even tuned into any Bulls action this year is to see Io, but he didn't play a whole lot. Which that usually happens. It seems like to rookies, they play a bunch in the regular season, and then just like NCAA tournament time, the coach's kind of circle of trust is pretty limited to maybe an 8-man rotation at most.
Well, to recap the games, Utah got a win over Dallas on the road, 99-93 on Saturday, but Luka Doncic did not play.
It sounds like Doncic is getting close to playing, though.
Yeah, he and Steph Curry both have kind of bum ankles right now, so both of their teams are watching them pretty closely. Mm-hmm. Minnesota went into Memphis and won 130-117. The Sixers dominated the Raptors at home 131-111. And the Warriors got a win at home 123-107 over the Nuggets. Then yesterday, the Heat got a home win 115-91 against the Hawks. The Celtics, like we mentioned earlier, got a 1-point win over the Nets at home 115-114. The Bucks got a 7-point win at home 93-86. And the Suns got a pretty easy win at home over the Pelicans 110-99. Tonight we have Raptors at Sixers game 2, Jazz at Mavericks game 2, and Nuggets at Warriors game 2.
Yeah, I was surprised to see. I don't really follow the NBA that much, but I was surprised to see the Nuggets not finishing in the top. I think they got the 6th seed, maybe.
They're 6th, yeah. They should have back-to-back MVP. Nikola Jokic should be the back-to-back MVP. We'll see, but I bet
it's Embiid.
Oh man, I mean, Jokic's stats were just incredible this year, but
yeah.
But they've been bit by the injury bug pretty bad. Murray, I mean, he's been cleared now to come back in the playoffs, but the team's leaving it up to him when he feels comfortable coming back. He's been out since the playoffs last year when he tore his knee up.
Yeah, he tore his ACL, right?
Yeah, and then Gordon's been hurt for them all year, back injury. So they've had to, make up for that. They picked up DeMarcus Cousins late in the year and signed him for the rest of the year to give him kind of some toughness they needed. But it's pretty much been the Jokic show and not a lot else.
And it's always tough when you're having to play Golden State anytime, especially with Steph Curry back now. Yeah, being that 6th seed and having to play 3-seeded Golden State, which that's a awfully tough 3 seed. You're not going to be in for a very good time.
Well, and the play-in games were interesting too. The Hawks beat the Cavaliers on the road Friday night thanks to Trae Young having 38 with 32 of those coming in the second half. And then you had the Pelicans beat the Clippers in a game that was just a roller coaster. Paul George could not play because he tested positive for COVID. So he can't blame it on playoff P for choking this one away. But the Clippers were down big, came back to get a 10-point lead in the fourth, and then Pelicans went on a big, I think it was like 27-7 run to close the game out. So definitely a game of runs, spurtability, as Clark Kellogg likes to call
it. Yeah. Did Kawhi Leonard play a minute this season?
I couldn't tell if it was a minute. It wasn't many if he did.
He did not play a single minute this year. So he's kind of turned into a guy that's been oft injured. Most games he's played since 2017 has been 60. So that's a total of, he missed 22 games in 19. He missed 25 games in 2020. He missed 30 games in 2021. So he's kind of off injured for this superstar guy.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, I'm glad Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, kind of came out and pretty much recognized that there's a problem with so many superstars in the NBA sitting out games, because that's one of my
Yeah,
biggest gripes with the NBA. Why would I want to pay money to go
exactly.
watch a team
Yeah,
play, especially if it's a team I just like one or two of their players,
right.
if there's a good chance they're not going to play.
You drop $200 to finally see LeBron, and then it's
Right.
his scheduled maintenance,
Rest
essentially.
day. Rest day.
Yeah, it's a rest day. Yeah, I wish they'd be more transparent with that. Like, okay, we're not going to play this game, because that's not fair to the fans at all.
No.
Like, that's why you almost got to think about shortening the schedule. Then
I just wish they would. I wish they'd started around Christmas, and I think everybody'd be happy.
Yeah, I mean, 82 games is a ton for basketball, especially in a pretty condensed season too, from late October to early April. I mean, that's a lot of games in that time span. That's not much. Like, that's not much of a shorter time, or that's not much of a longer time than what college basketball has. And college basketball only plays maybe the teams that are making the NCAA championship play maybe 38.
Right. And when your team's struggling real bad, I mean, heck, some teams are pretty much out of it by the All-Star break. That's not fun to watch the rest of the year. They're trading guys away and pretty much tanking.
Yeah, so there's something that can be done. I thought the 66 game schedule they had back in 2011, 2012, because of the strike, worked perfectly. And that,
I did too.
And they might need to start doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
it'll be interesting. We'll talk more about the NBA playoffs as they go on. But this week's word association has to do with the NBA playoffs.
Beautiful.
I took a random player off the top of my head from all these teams throughout their history. Some are all-stars, legendary. Some are guys you probably haven't thought of in years. So, starting with the Toronto Raptors, Damon Stoudemire.
Oh, he's a good point guard out of Arizona, right?
Yep. I remember him more for his Portland days.
Yeah,
he Mighty Mouse.
Well, what was he there with the Jailblazers when it was Rashid and
Pippen
and Spreewell? Was he there then?
No, he wasn't on the Blazers. No, he would have been Nick at the time, or maybe a Timberwolf. But no, those were good Blazer teams that rivaled the Lakers. But yeah, he started off in Toronto. So Philadelphia, Eric Snow.
Oh man, Michigan State guy. Could not shoot.
No,
he had a long NBA career because he was a really good point guard, great passer, good defender, but he could not shoot a lick.
He was on that supporting cast with Iverson that lost 4-1 in 0-1 to the Lakers. It was like him, Dikembe Mutombo, Derek McKee. Aaron McKee, not Derek. Aaron McKee, you're right, from Temple. It was pretty much Iverson. Not a lot of else.
Didn't have a whole lot else.
Utah Jazz, Carlos Boozer.
Give me that.
He was pretty good for the Jazz.
Yeah, second-round pick out of Duke, and he had a really good career, multiple-time All-Star. He was much better with Utah than he was with the Bulls,
and much better with Utah than he was with the Cavs.
Yeah,
who he was drafted by.
He was an interesting guy, definitely.
Dallas Mavericks, Steve Nash.
Maybe the greatest point guard of all time. I think Chris Paul will take that reign eventually. But yeah, Nash was the greatest point guard of his era, the 2000s. He won at least one MVP. He might have won two.
He won two, for Phoenix.
Yeah, he was a good one out of Santa Clara.
And now he's he's coaching in the playoffs as the head coach of the Nets. Denver Nuggets, Kenyon Martin.
Kmart, his son is a really good player for, I think he's with Houston. Out of Iowa State, I think he was the number 1 overall pick at Iowa State. Him and that was a good Iowa State team with, what was it, Iowa State or Cincinnati? No, Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, he was from Cincinnati.
Yeah, he was Cincinnati. I was thinking he was Iowa State. They had Iowa State had another guy that was with Jamal Tinsley there.
Marcus Frazier.
Yeah, Marcus Pfizer.
Pfizer, not Frazier.
Pfizer. I don't know. I was thinking Kenyon Martin was.
Yeah, Kenyon tore his knee up, or Cincinnati could have made a run that year.
Yeah, I mean, he played in a couple finals with New Jersey Nets with Kidd and Vince Carter and Kerry
those were good
Kittles.
teams. Those were teams that kind of dominated the East for a little bit.
Yeah.
Golden State, Andre Iguodala.
Still playing.
Yep.
Too. I think he's back with Golden State, isn't he?
I think you're right. He was one of their Finals MVPs one year.
Yeah, he's had a long NBA career. He was a star with Philadelphia, and now he's just embraced his role where he's going to be a good backup. He can play almost all 5 positions. Good passer, defender, smart. He's been around for a long time.
I think he went from Philly to Denver, then to Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, a couple other teams in between now. Yep. Yeah.
Atlanta Hawks, Josh Smith.
Lefty out of high school. They had some pretty good teams there in the late 2000s, early 2010s with him and Horford and
Jeff Teague.
Jeff Teague, yeah, they were pretty good. They were a fun team to play with on 2K, the 2K games back then, I remember.
Josh Smith was committed to Indiana.
Yes, he was. Glad he didn't go.
Yeah. Miami Heat, Tim Hardaway. Senior.
Quick crossover.
Oh, nasty crossover.
Out of Chicago, but he went to UTEP. He had a long NBA career, and his son is playing pretty well for Dallas.
Mm-hmm. Minnesota Timberwolves, Wally Szczerbiak.
Wally, see him on CBS Sports Network every once in a while. Great shooter out of Miami of Ohio.
Yep, I was gonna ask you. Yep.
Yeah, great shooter.
Memphis Grizzlies, Paul Gasol.
Hall of Famer, legend out of Spain. He had a really good career.
Number 3 overall pick in that draft, I believe.
Great career. Had some good years with Grizzlies and some years with the Lakers and Bulls and
Scotty was a Bull.
Yeah, I think he ended his career with San Antonio.
I think you're right.
I think so.
His brother was pretty good too.
Yeah, Mark was a really good player.
New Orleans Pelicans. This guy was actually a Hornet. Jamal Mashburn.
He is his son was pretty good at Minnesota. Last year as a freshman, he followed Patino to New Mexico and averaged close to 20 points a game this year as a sophomore. Jamal Mashburn Jr. He was a good scorer out of Kentucky.
Yep, out of Kentucky. So that might have been the most unique basketball jersey I ever owned. My dad brought me back a Jamal Mashburn New Orleans jersey from a trip to New Orleans, like in elementary school. So,
that's cool.
Yeah. I used to like having just weird off the wall jerseys.
I liked the New Orleans Hornets jerseys back in like 2004, 2005. I remember J.R. Smith in the dunk contest wearing them. That was pretty cool.
Yep. Phoenix Suns, Amari Stoudemire.
Man, what could have been? He was on a Hall of Fame trajectory, and then he got hurt. But still had a long career, but he was a star. Him and Steve Nash were a dynamic duo.
Him, Steve Nash, Sean Marion.
Sean Marion's one of the most underrated players of his generation.
And they just had good role players like Boris Diaw and Barbosa. And those were good Sun teams that never could get over the hump.
Yeah, they'd always get like the 1 seed or 2 seed and then just choke.
Brooklyn Nets. This guy was New Jersey net. Jason Kidd.
He is. Where's he coach at now?
Dallas.
That's right. Walking triple-double. He was his era's Oscar Robertson, in a sense. I got to see him play live in Indiana back in 2003, I believe.
I still remember him getting traded for Stephon Marbury. That was a big trade at the time because they were both really good. Because he dyed his hair bleach blonde when he was on the Suns still. Jason Kidd.
I remember that.
Yeah. 3 more here. Boston Celtics, Paul Pierce.
Who was it?
Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce?
Yeah.
They said he was the worst athlete to maybe ever play in the NBA. He could barely dunk, but he was a killer. Survived a stabbing.
I was going to say, he got stabbed. He almost died. He got stabbed like 20 times.
Yeah. He's a Celtics legend for sure.
Oh, yeah. 2 more guys here. Chicago Bulls, Kirk Heinrich.
Kirky Heinrich. Captain Kirk. He was the, I would say, best player on some mediocre Bulls teams. Good shooter. Wasn't worthy of a top 10 pick like he was.
He had those M-frame looking rec specs. He had like the sunglasses. Yeah.
Yeah.
And lastly, Milwaukee Bucks, Michael Redd.
lefty shooter out of Ohio State. He put up some points there in the mid 2000s. He was a good one.
Yeah, he was. When he was healthy, he was pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So he was second round pick, I believe, too.
Yeah, out of Ohio State.
And that's going to do it for the word association segment, which is brought to you by Performa Print 2 Promo Group. If you're looking for a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or sales meeting, they have over 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for fast and efficient response to all your print needs. You need to look no further. Let them be your one-source print and promotional company today by giving Barbara Van Weinsberg a call at 574-210-3815.
Have another NBA stat here real quick. Marcus Smart just won Defensive Player of the Year, which makes him the first guard to win the Defensive Player of the Year since Gary Payton in 95-96.
Ah, my Sonics. Yeah.
yeah, the glove. Gary the Glove Payton.
I can't wait till the Sonics come back. It's going to be great. I'm calling it right now. I'm telling you, NBA's going to bring them back, and they're going to start a franchise in Vegas. 2-team expansion.
Yeah, probably.
And then they got to move 2 teams to the east. So he can move the Grizzlies to the east, and then probably New Orleans. I think they'd be the next closest east team.
Does New Orleans really need a team?
Oh, I'm saying they have to move 2 to the east. That's what I'm saying, Josh.
Oh, 2 to the east. Gotcha.
Yeah, they're not. I don't think they're going to move another team. I don't think they're going to move another team. I think they'll literally bring back the Sonics, kind of like the NFL brought back the Browns, and then it'll be a brand new team also in Vegas. I think that's my guess. What eventually happens, because the Sonics now, the city of Seattle, it was they don't have arena. Well, now the Kraken have a nice arena that the Sonics could play in.
Mm-hmm.
Which, speaking of the Kraken, did you see Macklemore and Marshawn Lynch are now minority owners? Yeah.
I have not done a book it yet. So the J-Man's Book It prediction of the week is brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Watching for life, home, auto, business, renters, workers' comp, and farm insurance. Contact Travis at 219-869-4561. His email is travis.watching@infb.com. My book it is what should it be?
Could be NBA
I
related.
think it's got to be NBA related. I think we'll see at least 2 upsets in the first round.
I like it.
And I'm trying, I think the upsets that are most likely are, I really think, let's see. Yeah, it's going to be tough. Brooklyn's the most likely over Boston. I think that'll go 7. I don't see any
dangerous
happening
7
in the West. Maybe Minnesota. Yeah, that's a super dangerous 7 seed. Maybe Minnesota can get Memphis. I doubt it. I don't think Denver can get Golden State. A 5 over a 4 is not really an upset in my mind, but I do think Utah will beat Dallas. So I guess that's technically an upset.
There you go.
So that'll be my J-Man's Book It. And this episode is brought to you by The Dam Landing. Whether you want an epic burger, hand-tossed pizza, hand-bread, tenderloin, seafood, craft beer, or a handcrafted cocktail, The Dam Landing is the place to be. Dam Landing is a bar and grill located on beautiful Lake Manitou, focusing on freshness and quality. You can wash down their delicious food with one of their 16 beers on tap, including a constant rotation of today's best micro brews and domestic flavors, or a handcrafted cocktail made using fresh ingredients. Taking the fantastic views of Lake Manitou and their beer garden or outdoor bar area, whether it be boats or wheels, The Dam Landing is the place to be, located at 1305 Ewing Road in Rochester.
It'll be a great weekend to be out there.
Here?
It's going to be a great, nice, warm weekend to get out there.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Get some good pizza, some barbecue. The smoke break's going to be going out there this weekend. Can have a nice brewski or a nice cocktail. Sounds like a good time.
I'm thinking this upcoming weekend is going to be a popular put the boat in the water day, too.
I think you're right. Yes, I'm ready.
Are you ready to get educated? On this day in 1923, 74,000 people showed up for the opening of Yankee Stadium.
It's a lot of people.
62,281 paid. So I wonder if there's 12,000 people that snuck in somehow.
That's a lot of people to sneak in.
Yeah, a lot of Boston marathons here. On this day in 1946, Jackie Robinson debuted as a second baseman for the Montreal Royals.
It was Jackie Robinson Day on this past Friday?
Yeah, Friday. On this day in 1958, the NL National League single game record crowd of 78,000 at LA Memorial Coliseum, where the Dodgers beat the San Francisco Giants. Who won the NBA championship on this day in 1962?
I'm going to say it's the Celtics.
That's a pretty good guess there in the 60s, and they beat the LA Lakers 4 games.
That was my second. That was the other team I was thinking, so.
On this day in 1966, Bill Russell became the first African-American coach in NBA history.
Wasn't a bad player.
Oh, legend. On this day in 1981, the longest game ever in professional baseball happened. The Pawtucket Red Sox tied the Rochester Red Wings 2-2 in 32 innings. The game resumed the 23rd of June because they're like, I'm over this.
I want to know how many people stayed for all 32 innings.
I can't imagine.
They must
Cannot
not work
imagine
if they
many
did.
stayed. Yeah, especially going to a AAA game like that.
I mean, just think about it. Like you get past 9 innings, you get to 16 innings, you're like, man, this is a long game, and they're halfway there.
Yeah. On this day in 1995, legendary quarterback Joe Montana announced his retirement. Also on this day, 3 years later in 1998, Tennessee quarterback Peyton Manning was the first pick by the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I think that was a wise pick taking him over Ryan Leaf.
Yeah. Wayne Gretzky played his last game in the NHL on this day in 99.
I thought it was 99. I remember kind of watching that as a kid. Like I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
This is going to be a punch to your gut. But on this day in 2008, NBA owners give approval of a potential Seattle Supersonics relocation to Oklahoma City in a 28-2 vote by the Board of Governors.
Yep, go watch Sonic Gate. It's a great documentary, and that's what got me fired up and made me a future Seattle Sonics fan.
Yeah, it did. I think they're coming, too. I think they're coming. My dad actually texted me going back to that question your dad asked about favorite or memorable baseball play. Last year, Javi somehow duping the first baseman in Pittsburgh to try to run him back to home plate when all he had to do was touch the bag, and a Cubs run ended up scoring, and he somehow ended up getting on first. So that was a good one there.
Friend of the show, Thad Mooney, put on Facebook, I saw earlier, and I forgot to mention it, that him being a Red Sox fan, he brought up the 04 collapse, just the whole overall collapse by the Yankees. So appreciate it, Thad.
That was a good one. Yesterday, Chris Paul became the 5th player ever with 10 career playoff games with 30 points and 10 assists. Who are the other 4?
Well, before we do that, let me tell everybody who the On This Day segment is brought to you by, and that would be Thad Mooney of Mooney Woodcrafts. Mooney Woodcrafts is a veteran-owned and operated custom woodcraft shop based out of North Carolina with Indiana grassroots. They provide 100% hand-cut custom designs to fit your needs. From signs to growth charts, their custom pieces make a great addition to any home, office, or man cave. To see some of their recently completed projects, visit their Facebook page or their Instagram account at Mooney Woodcrafts, and to order, contact them at mooneywoodcrafts@gmail.com. He sent me a cool looking design on Snapchat, I believe it was over the weekend, or maybe no, it was on Instagram. I was on the Instagram story. I saw it, or maybe both, whatever. Anyways, he's creating a Butler Bulldog one right now. It's really cool.
That's cool.
Yep.
It's really cool.
All right, so Chris Paul was the fifth
player ever with 10 career playoff games with 30 points and 10 assists. Who are the other 4?
I hate this already. I hate it already. I already do. Oscar Robinson.
Yeah, he had the least of the list here.
Okay, 30 and 10. Steve Nash.
Nope.
Here we go. I don't think this guy got enough assists. Russ Westbrook?
Nope. You're getting a bogey, man.
I know. I'm a Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
I didn't know if he had the assists. I honestly didn't know if he had the assists.
LeBron James.
Yeah, makes sense. Who's the other one?
The other one would have been tough. Jerry West.
No. Jeez.
Yeah, you
I'm
should
thinking
have.
like Nash and Kidd. I'm so focusing on the assist than I was points.
When you got Big O,
Oscar.
I'm thinking, you're definitely getting a par.
And Jordan was in my head, but I'm like, I don't know if he had the assist enough.
It's only 10 games though, I guess.
Back to 4 over. I'm back to stroke behind you.
That was
Jeez,
a poor effort.
My NBA knowledge is so bad, so bad.
Thanks for watching the Tan and J-Man Show live on the ISC Sports Network. We'll be back at it next Monday when it's hopefully warmer out. Have a fantastic week, everybody.